GPU back to, well, off of a, I'm on a GT 1030 with 2 gigs of VRAM, but it's working. I can, I can, I can participate on that.
Very nice. Well, what's everybody up to these days? Anything new and exciting?
No, nothing exciting.
We're just sticking to tedious and repetitive this week. All right, well, we might as well get started with the latest news and developments. Still continuing a lot of work related to the extra FPS release that's out in RC. I think there's probably been at least one RC update since the last time we had one of these meetings. And the uh, goal is to move it to promotion as soon as we can. There's some key high priority bugs that we're trying to address before we do that. So these are things that are of particular concern to us as well as to other viewers, and we are working on getting that out as soon as we can. Oh, and I see we have a new guest who has not been at this meeting before, as far as I know. Howdy, Philip. Not hearing any voice, but looks like he's got a
Oh,
voice
I
dot.
should. Does anyone hear me?
I hear you
Yep,
now. Yep, yep.
here you know.
Well, that's odd because. Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. I expect most of you have heard that Philip is joining us as CTO and will be getting deeply involved in a lot of upcoming projects. So probably a good person to catch up with if you get a chance. Let's see. I was just running through the viewer info here. So yeah, extra FPS. That's our current big push. Fixing bugs, shipping code, and the viewer after that is going to be interesting because we're picking up all the changes that we had in develop for the originally planned Mate B and C releases, as well as various sort of other work in progress that's gotten put in there as well. So, been a lot of hairy merges, and probably a few issues have crept in the process of doing that. So, we're going to be working on getting that all stabilized and nice after extra FPS goes out. It's probably going to be a little longer timeline than usual on that one, but we will get it out as soon as we can. And then beyond that, what else is going on? WebRTC voice. This is the work to switch over from Vivox. That is, I think it's in pretty good shape, but we haven't thrown the switch to enable it grid-wide because a pretty large fraction of our users are still on viewers that don't support WebRTC. So we are working on the migration process there. Once we have enough folks who are happily running something that does support WebRTC, then we will throw the big switch, and that will become the new voice standard. We're very excited about WebRTC. It gives us a lot more control over voice, and in particular lets us integrate with other services. So we're exploring a lot of interesting future options that will be enabled by that once that's out everywhere. So let's see, that is the sort of high level detail. And let's see, Dave, do you want to talk any about what's going on in graphics land in particular?
All performance work all the time right now, and that will continue until everybody is happily on PBR enabled viewers. So we're in one of those weird situations where the average performance is looking pretty okay, but there are definitely still cohorts out there that can't get onto a PBR enabled viewer yet without suffering some pretty significant performance loss. So we're hunting those down and fixing the issues for those, but that's going to take some time. And in addition to performance complaints, we're also looking into the different aesthetic complaints, which segues nicely into that tone mapper discussion. We're not going to change the default tone mapper. I think that's where we left it. We're going to go back to ACES, but there will be graphics preferences for people to change their tone mapper or disable it if they feel like. So we're getting in less into the it's going to look this way for everybody and more into here's some client-side options. But the takeaway for artists is that tone mapping is going to be a thing. It is subjective. Someday it will be a sky setting, more likely than not. So when you make your content, don't bake the tone mapping into the textures. That'll happen in post.
Yeah, that's been one of the big changes in PBR in general, is that kind of let the lighting be the lighting rather than trying to do the lighting for it.
If the issue of lighting going dim over water, the exposure, if you're talking about the auto exposure, yeah, that's still being tuned. Geens, did you want to talk about that at all?
Let's see if my audio is working. Looks like it is. Great.
Yep.
So I'm taking on the tone mapping work and all that, and the auto exposure. Let's see here. Rye had done a little bit of work around making the auto exposure a bit softer on the eyes, if that makes sense, in terms of like the transitions and stuff like that. I'm extending that and making that something that's a little bit more configurable, so you can have like a auto exposure maximum, an auto exposure minimum, and basically an auto exposure offset that you can set client side. So you can tweak and tune to your specific preference. And to Dave's point previously, the intent is eventually these will all be sky settings. So you can like go through and create one light skies and stuff like that have all these settings packed in there as well. So.
Let's see. I think also what Pepper had a question. Pepper's been working on the support for 2K bakes, so that is hopefully coming soon, and wanted to follow up with folks here about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ver. Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to give a quick update on, I hope everybody can hear me. I want to give a quick update on 2K Bake and see how the experience has been for everybody. It's a little hot. Sorry about that. I'm on a laptop, so it's a little finicky. But it's currently in QA on Aditi. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to play with it, experiment with it. I wanted to ask if anybody has seen any issues with it, any incorrect bakes. But I also wanted to share, we should have an estimated deploy date for that by the 21st, so next content creation users group. We should have a date for you guys to anticipate being able to get your 2K bakes out and onto the marketplace. But yeah, I just wanted to hear if anybody has had any bad experiences with 2K bake yet.
Not sure a lot of people have been testing it, to be honest.
What are particular things that we are hoping to learn from testing Pepper? Anything in particular people should be looking at?
I guess kind of turn an eye towards making sure like previous bakes are still coming out the same. Like 1K bake should still be 1K. They should look the same. There shouldn't be any weird compression artifacts, and the quality should be good. Essentially, the experience should be the same. If anything's not working the same, I'd like to hear about it.
I thought bake like visually should be the same, but I thought the surface actually got quite a bit faster.
Yeah, so it did get some performance improvements. We haven't deployed those yet to Aditi. There's an open PR from Rye, which improves the performance of the LL appearance utility. He got it to work headless, and also switched it from OpenJPEG to Kakadu, so it's a little bit faster. You may not notice it when it's deployed because it's just about a 100 millisecond improvement, so not a huge improvement. But it might be pretty beneficial for people that have a lot of layers with large textures. You might see a pretty significant improvement there. So I've heard some people, it takes about 40 seconds to do a bake with 60 different layers that are 2K. So it should be a lot faster, but to be determined.
Pepper, is there testing regions in Agni?
Yeah.
Quinn was saying.
So there are no testing regions on Agni for 2K Bake. 2K Bake is only on Aditi. That's the beta grid. So for those that have never accessed it, you can just turn on the grid setting in your viewer and point your viewer towards the beta grid, and your account will be automatically synced over along with your inventory, so you can test your content there. If you're experiencing any issues with the account sync, please message me and share me any issues you're having with that, because I have not seen any reports of it not working. Yes, it is automatic now. No ticket needed. We have a blog post.
So the accounts get synced?
This automated sync is a new feature that we've added in the last couple months. So you may not have seen it previously, but we do have a blog post. I'll go ahead and link it to you guys here in local chat that talks a little bit more about it.
Finding that the beta grid is really cool, like something you buy today is already there a few hours later if I log in, so it's been really good.
Yeah, so please send me an IM, Quinn, if you're having issues with that, and if your account is stuck in syncing. I'd really like to hear about that.
Let's see, do we have any other updates on the server side? Ryder, anybody? With
hopefully,
changes?
hopefully barbecue will be coming out next week onto the RCs. I don't have the list of stuff in front of me at the moment, but After that is Apple Cobbler. It's the next maintenance, and that has a number of functions in it that people will find interesting. I'll give agent. There's documentation up on the wiki for a lot of them now, but LL give agent inventory works a lot like give inventory list, but with some extra options, like you can specify where to put things rather than just in the root directory, and a couple like that. So that's pretty exciting coming. I'll find the links in the wiki and post them so far.
All right, I think that's about it for official announcements. Philip, do you have anything you'd like to say to the group?
No, but thanks for having me. I just wanted to come and see what happens in this meeting. So it's good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, welcome. It's usually pretty busy. We have a lot of topics. All right, well, I guess we're on to general Q&A then. If anybody has things they'd like to I guess question or answer.
Mina has a really big hair problem. If Dave P and Gaines can help her.
Do tell.
Or alpha shenanigans. Oh wow, okay. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if Mina's voice is working. Mina, can you hear or speak or something?
Yeah,
She put together a blog post, what she was experiencing, and I tried this hair that she's got on now the other day, and when you first put it on, it looks great, and it looks great for her, but as soon as you change texture, it does that, and this has really put her behind with other content, which is difficult.
does it do that whenever only where you wear the hair, or does it do that just regardless, like if you're just to res it out somewhere?
I'm not even sure if she's hearing.
Is that not being fixed? Is that not related to the bug with the other alpha transparency thing?
Okay. I think she can hear us. Can you hear us? Okay.
It was happening when I resed it the other day as well. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, this is just, she spent a long time making PBR textures for her hair, and this is the outcome for her. That's just so upsetting.
Yeah, we're definitely going to want to look into that.
Yeah, I had a problem with some animated textures and they were looking like that. They were stopping and looking like that. But I got an email the other day and it said it had been fixed. So I wondered if the two were related because it was on 7.111.
It's not breaking up for you, Nix, or also I think Quinn said it's not breaking up.
I mean, there is the imposter rendering of that, which definitely looks weird, but up close, it's definitely breaking up. It looks like, I mean, if I were facing Mina like straight on, it looks like the right hand side is breaking the worst.
Right, that's what she was saying to me too. It worked in the previous PBR viewer, and then the update broke it.
That broke my content as well. I had to roll back to the previous version after working on something for weeks and weeks, and then it was not working.
Yeah, that's a good question right there. How's it look under Alpha Mask instead of Alpha Blend? I guess a better question is, does it break in the same way? That's more what I'm curious about. Right now, it looks like there's some weird Z fighting issue going on here, but that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, sorry, the voice isn't working for you, Mina. Yeah, if we could get a copy of that for testing, that would be the best thing. Make it a lot easier to track
Your
down what's going on.
profiles, and she can pass you a set of the hair.
Yeah, yeah, if you could send that to Dave or Geens, that would be the simplest thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because if Mina's having this problem, then there's chances that other hair creators or transparent alpha needing creators are also having problems and probably don't realize that they can come to you.
Yeah, I mean, we are aware of at least some of the existing alpha issues, and that they tend to be hair related, but I don't know if this is the same problem that we've seen before or not. We should take a look. Yeah. So, Mina, this is a problem that you specifically saw when you were using when you're using PBR for the hair as opposed to the older material system? Okay.
Yes, just so you can compare, I'm actually wearing her hair that's normal. That works very well. So it's only the PBR textures that she created.
Yeah, that's looking very good with my my PBR viewer. All right, folks. Apologies. I'm gonna have to run off early this week. Got a conflicting meeting scheduled on top of me. I'm gonna hand it off to Dave now and let him take the last half hour. So many thanks for doing that, and good seeing everybody. We'll keep you posted on the viewer updates.
Yep. Thanks, Beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've definitely been having a hard time getting artist participation in some of the testing that we've been doing on like the content features Discord, which has been a hindrance to Bake, and it's been a hindrance to the Alpha Gamma stuff that Gaines has been working on.
Dave, I can
So-
invite you into our Hair Fair Discord group where you've got a majority of hair creators that also do hair bases, which would work for the Bake people as well. I can send you invites into that group. That way you might get that target audience of the people that really need your help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that after the meeting. I've got you guys in Discord.
Philip had a question about the VSync checkbox and Firestorm, if anybody knows where that is.
It's under graphics, so Control P, then the graphics tab, then the second tab.
Thank you.
Now I know a lot of the speaking of Firestorm, a lot of the folks that we talk to kind of have the attitude of like they're not gonna try it out until it's in Firestorm. Like we hit that on the PBR viewer quite a bit, and I was wondering if when y'all evangelize different features we're working on with your peers, how much do you hear that sentiment, if at all?
A lot.
Depends where you go. If you
Especially
go
when
to
Bakes
the
on
forums,
Mesh
it's
came
definitely
about.
everyone.
Yeah. As far as LPBR being faster than Firestorm PBR, that's just we've been doing a lot of work on performance improvements lately, and Firestorm just takes a couple extra weeks or 4 to put out a viewer that has what we've got in RC. So it's not a competition there. It's we're all getting to the same place.
I was working with a few brands when Bakes on Mesh came, and it was the worst rollout because of that absolute not touching it until Firestorm has it, and they took well over a month to do that. No offense to them, but it really was a big hindrance to Bakes on Mesh getting the attention that it deserved at the time.
So what is it in your mind that makes people want to wait until it's on Firestorm before they try it out?
Like the Linden viewer, like Firestorm's really feature heavy, you know. So like going, it would be like changing software for a lot of people, I would imagine, and then stubbornness, and then people just don't like change.
I also personally couldn't log in to the SL viewer every time you did a big thing, and I would have to beta. So comparably, the beta grid, I have 600,000 items. In this grid, I have 400,000 items, because before BOM, I had to actually delete over 100,000 items just to be able to log on the viewer. So that is one of the big deals, is that I just couldn't get in the SL viewer at all. And Firestorm, I can log in no problem. And it was that way for years and years and years, that people just couldn't use the SL viewer.
For me, it boils down to the quality of the features. Like I'm never able to test an official viewer just because when I'm building, it slows me down significantly. Like how the PBR is structured in the editing view, the area search, and the overall UI, it significantly slows me down in my process. So I always wait for the Firestorm beta before I test any feature. But performance-wise, I think they're about on par, especially like on my higher-end machines. But I think it's all about the UI and the user experience more than performance.
Well, as I've said before in this group and others, the chat bar just does my head in. Not having a chat bar in the UI, I just can't function. And the fact that we worked out that the bubble chat was causing me to not see toasts for like the last 5 years. I couldn't do customer service on the SL viewer because I was missing IMs, because there was nothing indicating that I was getting them other than a small tiny little chat bar button. So it's little things like that. And then the graphics settings, the things that you can do that extra mile, especially in the Firestorm viewer compared to the SL viewer, that just makes people prefer it.
Actually slower than the official viewer, I find. Like when I was testing out PBR on the Second Life viewer, it just seemed to load much faster, close much faster, not be as bloated.
Being said, you've also got the people that will not log into third-party viewers. They will absolutely dig their nails into the SL viewer because it's the official viewer. They don't want to go and risk any logins with somebody else.
Yeah, there was that Emerald. Wasn't there a scandal? That must have been like 12 years ago or something. There was a scandal of Emerald viewer, and I think some of that still sticks around, the idea that third-party viewers are going to steal your Lindens.
I think that like viewer needs to have like different purposes. Like I usually tend to use Black Dragon for photography because the graphics tends to be more advanced and the posing tool are more advanced, and I think that Firestorm is really good for developing, and also it has pretty discrete photographic features. I think that the normal viewer is more based for as a baseline for the rest of the developers. And personally, I think it should be even more baseline, like the UI that is like in the mobile viewer, so new users can use that without having to learn the 3,000 features. and Firestorm is more the baseline for creators and more advanced users. But
Also, sorry.
no, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say this would be another area where, you guys let yourselves down. Firestorm provides support, in-world videos. They show people how to reinstall the new update. They go through the steps on how to do a clean install versus another one. You don't do that. You don't provide that information. That doesn't come through. So when people are struggling and they don't know where to go, they're finding Firestorm help. And so that's won over a lot of people as well. They even do tutorials on the viewer itself all through the week. As far as I know, they have a whole calendar where they just teach people the ins and outs of the viewer. Those things are, things that benefit the person that couldn't copy and paste when they joined SL, myself included. In-world support groups in other languages as well.
Yeah, they do a lot of the heavy lifting, don't they?
I think the tutorials really make a big difference, like breaking it down. We've talked here, Dave, about the QA and how many things everybody has to test, and that's how the bubble feature got missed and things like that. But nobody actually breaks down the viewer for the new user. There's no lessons on what a debug setting is, how to open up the developer menu, how to, unrender face lights, all of those things are just
when you Google those things, the results are usually Firestorm.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And if it's not Firestorm themselves, it's bloggers that are using Firestorm. I mean, I always feel really guilty when I'm doing a tutorial for my blog that I am using Firestorm, because I really would like to do both. But I've just, like I said, I just found it so difficult to just be on there full time while needing to interact in a way that was easier for me. Told to, Joey, a lot of the time, somebody will actually tell them, oh, just do this thing, and, like render volume load factor before it was a thing that was evident, or those things that now are actually in the viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely trying to figure out how to get more engagement from the community before things get so far as being in Firestorm, because the thing that happened with PBR was there were a lot of problems with it that we didn't know about until after Firestorm shipped it.
This has a confirmation bias, doesn't it? Like, all the people who come here have got good machines. So all the feedback you got from people on like mega machines, like at the end of the day.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good mix on the Linden Lab viewer, but the sample size isn't as large as it is on the Firestorm viewer, and so there are holes in the data, and there's also like the community members that use the Linden Lab viewer who are on low-end machines tend to be pretty disengaged from the community. They don't, like, when things don't run well, they don't tell us.
It just seems so weird, like, to be like chasing 20-year-old technologies, like it shouldn't. Like, there's no other software, is there, that supports 20-year-old technology?
There is, and we're not talking about 20-year-old at this point. We're talking about like 10-year-old. As far as like hardware horizons go, 15 years is pretty reasonable. Like, it's not abnormal to support hardware that's 15 years old. and age isn't everything either. There are laptops being sold today that aren't as powerful as like the median laptop from 10 years ago. But the people who use those laptops are still, worthy of support. So like the intent is never to make Second Life perform worse for anybody. When that happens, it's an accident.
This needs to be cleaned up as well. Like a lot of the things that you have in that viewer, like the I mention the new residents all the time. You've still got that library bar on the UI where you click it and you've suddenly got all those pre-built avatars, but you introduced Senra and there's no pre-Senra avatars. So new residents click those pictures and suddenly they look completely different and they have no point of return, and so you're hurting people from the get-go with that viewer. Just by these little things, no chat bar, so they don't know where to type. They don't know that they have to open that little box to type in nearby chat instead of it just being a chat bar along the bottom of the viewer. The toolbar buttons, the way you can just customize your UI is just so simplistic in Firestorm and the other ones. It used to be fun to jump through the different viewers, but Firestorm's kind of nailed it, so that's where everybody just sat for a long time. But I was on the Viewer 2.0, the beta of that, and it was exciting at first, but I don't know what happened.
On the beta of what again?
When you introduced the SL viewer that we have now, when you went 2.0, I think it was like 2009, 2010 or something, and it was we were all on NDAs and we were testing out that viewer. It's a long time ago and it was so exciting and shiny and new, but it's not that now.
I mean, the viewer shouldn't really be viewable, should it? It should be mainly just like the screen of Second Life. All this stuff for a newbie, it must be really overwhelming. Like all the buttons, like what's this thing from the last century, well, the last decade? All these buttons. If you're gonna get people, I don't know what the mobile experience is like, but if you're gonna get people in through there, they're not interested in land. I would guess they just want to play dress up. That's going to be like the primary inroads for people on a mobile phone. Is like dressing up. All this complicated stuff like land ownership and graphics performances.
You don't promote everything that you do either, so a lot of what we see on using other third-party viewers is we see that you all got involved in us getting that new feature, but it's not on the SL viewer. So it's sort of like it always feels like you're behind. And yet you're the ones that helped Worley and helped Beck and helped everybody else on the third-party teams get that thing into fruition, because they always say thank you to you guys. So we're aware the Lindens are involved. It's just that we wait another year for that basic feature to then be implemented. And again, you don't tell anybody a lot of the time. Like image is like one of the most incredible features that you've implemented, and yet PBR just steamrolled over that. Your own horn.
Yeah, we're definitely playing catch up on getting performance back on low end, which is why I believe that's the primary reason people are still on 6617 is performance reasons, and doing A/B tests between Firestorm 6617 and LL's extra FPS, the current RC, and looking at the stats. Yeah, we're still digging to figure out exactly which GPUs are affected. But we know that Intel chips are hit particularly hard, and AMD graphics chips fare quite a bit better than Intel, but not as well as NVIDIA. On NVIDIA, we're pretty close to being where we were before PBR, but I'm sure there are still some chips. Like right now, I'm in this meeting with a GT 1030 and 2 gigs of VRAM, and I'm getting 25 FPS. But when I move the camera around, I get frame stalls because it's still using more video memory than I have. So that's the kind of thing we're working on.
Judy just mentioned, sorry.
Dave? Like, I mean, if I just don't technically understand, like, if we've got all these avatars and all this content here, how can we squeeze that onto the 2 gig of RAM? How that's beyond the expectations of what the machine can do. It's surely.
No, you can make it work. There are lots of different knobs to turn, and in this case, there's
even just getting the data across this on a machine like that, the CPU is going to be so slow. It's going to no wonder the frames stall. Wow.
No, it's fine. Like I'm looking at it, and there's a number I'm looking at that is set to 1.7, and it should be set to 4. And if it was set to 4, then it would all fit in the VRAM, and that's the number that controls what resolution textures we load. And so it's that kind of thing. Like certain hardware and certain scenes, the system isn't working as intended, and it's causing problems. And those are the problems we're chasing right now. And the belief is that that's the primary reason people are staying on 6617. Like when I do A/B tests on 6617 versus extra FPS on this particular hardware, 6617 starts out with incredibly high frame rates, like in the 80s. But then as the scene finishes loading and memory gets filled up, 6617 ends up performing worse than the frame rate that extra FPS settles on. But extra FPS goes the other way. It starts on the single digits, and there's like a minute or two of just absolute unusable suck before it gets up to a usable frame rate. And I don't think people are waiting around for things to become usable. They're seeing them start out unusable and bailing, which is totally understandable.
Is that when they're just entering a region?
Yeah, like if you enter a region with all the textures cached.
Why do you make the load screen longer?
That's the problem. We don't. I mean, I don't want to get too much into the technical details on this, but we load the textures before the loading screen comes up very quickly. So by the time the loading screen comes up, you're already like 3 gigs over your memory footprint. Stuff like that. Just stuff that
the disks are probably full, aren't there, if the machines are really old? So like the cache disk for Windows is probably really full as well. For a nightmare.
Yeah, it's stuff like that we didn't catch, and we're trying to set up systems so that, well, one, we can automate finding that. So as we build up, we've got a project in flight that we're calling the potato farm, to automatically run a bunch of performance tests on laptops with limited resources.
Dave, I was just going to say, Judy mentioned a very big reason that people don't use the SL viewer is the de-render function. The ability to de-render things, like I de-rendered Cindy, ages ago, but also whenever I'm here, all of the stuff that's around, I de-render it because it makes me motion sick. And so those sorts of things, you know, you don't want to block something, you don't want to mute it because, you know, there's ramifications to that. But if I go to an event, for instance, and the whole thing's surrounded by alpha trees, I just box select them all and de-render them. And so then I have a better experience through less lag, and I know that I haven't, you know, muted those trees from my SL experience. And a lot of people are like that. Also, the ability to mute group chats and things like that so that they don't open up IMs and stuff while you're busy working or whatever. That function doesn't hold in the SL viewer. You can have it all set up in Firestorm, but then you go into the SL viewer and suddenly beep, 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 it's going off like crazy. So you're just going to run. You can't work like that. So again, it's those sorts of little things that are really important to how people function in SL. It's not just the UI, it's those sorts of features that you haven't picked up, and I really don't understand the de-render one.
The which one?
De-rendering, right click, de-render.
Yeah, de-render. That's a fair point. And I know how that's implemented, and it's a beautiful hack. it actually manufactures a kill object message, so it makes the viewer think that the server sent a kill object message. It's great.
That's wonderful, but it really helps. Like, I get claustrophobic in SL. I know it's weird, but I do. So if I have to go into a building and it's really tight space, I can just de-render the building.
Yep.
You know, I can, and that is just a normal function. Thanks, Judy Starchild, for reminding me. She's in the YouTube stream, so that came up in YouTube. So, yeah.
Can I ask?
So,
is it easy, Mina, to de-render stuff? Like, is that something a brand new user could easily you can make the UI great for us? You just touch something and swipe it and de-render it or something?
It is easy, but I don't think it's easy to understand as a concept. Like when you watch like somebody like playing Second Life, like, you know, when you go to YouTube, there is a lot of people like, you know, let's try Second Life in 2024. It's really fascinating to see those videos because you see somebody that never played or understood the game, and you see how they interact with the world, and you can actually see where they struggle. And I think the concept of de-rendering something is very abstract for a normal gamer or a normal user. But on the paper, it's very easy. You just right-click and press de-render.
Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah, I mean, it feels like that's an awesome feature for some. Like Mina say, I'm sorry that it's making you motion sick. That's obviously of particular interest to me because I've worked on VR for so long. But I'm just wondering, is that something we can expect? Is that something we should be expecting new participants to have to learn to be able to use Second Life? It seems like no, and I don't know what the alternatives would be, though.
Well, they wouldn't have to. I mean, nobody really wants to be brand new to Second Life and start muting, blocking, and de-rendering. You know, even abuse reports get a little bit out of hand because everybody thinks something's wrong and bad and evil and let's report it. But, I mean, even down to somebody turning up somewhere and them still having an adult attachment attached, you can de-render that attachment and leave that person perfectly able to be a person. I mean, that's
yeah, but
very
unfortunately,
valuable.
I've seen that also massively abused as well, as I've said in text chat. It has been abused to no end of people being able to de-render full clothes, see complete navs naked, including, it was argued, someone tried to bring it up in the Firestorm Jira about someone still wanting that de-render individual items, and when we started digging, it's because they wanted to de-render clothes on child avs and see naked child avs, which Firestorm lets you do. That's a hard no for me.
Well, that's why baked on mesh underwear should be the go-to for all people. But I mean, I get it. You know, I do
Ideal is it
understand.
in the visual world
but
to start having to like de-render and stuff, is it? You know, like, oh, welcome to our virtual world. It kind of works, and you're gonna have to de-render some stuff. Nobody wants that when they first join something. It needs to be smooth. without any thought really. Like it just needs to be a smooth experience.
This is a really
Having like
good.
like 500-page instructions manual on how to use a virtual world. I mean, come on. You know, the attention span of people these days as well. And when you say new users, I presume you mean young people. Like they don't have the they're not going to have the attention span. They've got the attention span of Twitter.
And this
Like,
kind of
I think that the
Actually-
new users are young.
To be clear for the folks that are talking about this, I don't mean young people when I say new users. So just to correct on that, that's not true. I think there are many people who want to use Second Life. They're not young.
Yeah, we have a lot
but
of new residents
are not
that are
able to
older.
figure out the interface.
I wanted to say something about this. I think that de-rendering is kind of the wrong answer to the right question. So if we put ourselves in the shoe of a new user, why would they de-render something? Okay, let's say that, for instance, I go to a sim where there is like rain, and the rain is physical prims, and they are trying to click on a vendor to buy a pair of shoes, and now they're selecting the rain, and that's undesirable. So why would I de-render something? It's de-rendering the rain, so it stopped me from clicking the right item. It's the same thing with like flares that are made of prims. And I think that a good answer could be something like it was done for reflection probes, where like it's an actual item that you can only click if you select the reflection probes within the viewer. And I think already giving a feature like that in the base viewer will be a huge quality of life improvement, both in Firestorm and the normal viewer. Like, for instance, if I'm a creator, I have like this option of making an object selectable only in certain conditions, and then I can sell a rain to customers that only get selected if they have that enabled.
Honestly, us again taking into consideration one per every 5,000 SL users. I mean, seriously, if you're that desperate for seeing naked, just go and get a demo of a body and stand there and look at yourself, because that happens too, you know. So it's not something that we'd want to lose de-render because somebody's going to take some girl's top off. It's horrible. It's invasive. I don't think it's good at all. I hate it, but that's why I wear bakes on mesh underwear always.
I've seen a lot of very useful functionality get canned because of the danger of, but sometimes someone can do this, and that's not great. And I think what happens a lot is Linden Lab. I know from my perspective, I'll speak personally. When it comes to things like de-render, I'll look at those reasons that people might want to de-render something, and I'll think, well, a better solution would be to make it so that they never want to de-render it in the first place. Like it should just run good, or it should, for like, say, accidental nudity or people not wearing something appropriate for the region that they're in. Like there are some very interesting technical solutions to that don't require a manual de-render.
We talked about.
And those are and so we'll get distracted by those, and well, I'll get distracted by those solutions. I'll pursue those instead of just doing the quick thing, which is what Firestorm does, which is, you know, like just let people manually do the thing now.
Right. We talked once in the very first meeting that I ever went to with you, when you went and showed us the blue sofa and everything. We talked about adult content and that, and I suggested that maybe if you introduced some sort of a system that adult content creators could put something in their item, even if it was just a checkbox, that meant that no penises, no add-on breasts, no dildo attachments, none of that would actually ever be visible if they teleported to a G or an M sim, if the person that owns the land put that in the thing. Like, you just couldn't accidentally turn up with your penis still attached, because by the automation of the system of the creator, it just wouldn't be there. And I still think that that's a really good sort of idea, to sort of let adult content creators have that ability to make their content that way, so that there's just never an issue that way.
Another thing to consider is some of the creators here, maybe they don't even realize your customers are doing this. Another common, very common thing I see it is creators that are offering demo items. Say, for example, you've got this fantastic shirt you made, but you want to have a demo out so people can demo it. So you have this fantastic shirt, but then you say you plaster the thing with a bunch of demo lettering all over the thing to kind of show that it's a demo. Very common practice is just grab the demo, de-render all the demo items, keep the shirt intact, take your wonderful photos. Congratulations, you just used an item for free.
Yeah, but who seriously?
We're
Again, that one photo means
real
nothing.
quick, folks. We're past time, and this conversation is being live streamed to YouTube, and YouTube has some fun guidelines. I'm happy to stick around and continue the conversation, but I think we're going to wrap up the live stream here.
I just wanted to add real quickly that if, kind of